Hi everyone, today we're going to be solving systems by elimination for the second day. Our goal is still to solve a system of linear equations using elimination. Okay, so just remember, how do we solve by elimination? Well, if I look at these two equations, they're both written in standard form, which is a form I like them for elimination. However, I notice that nothing cancels out. So what can I do? I see this 3 here and I see a 6 here. I can easily get a 3 to a 6 by multiplying this entire equation by -2. When I do that, I get -16x -6y equals -26. I'm going to write the second equation directly underneath this. My 9x, first x looks a lot like a y. I'm going to make it a little longer, plus 6y equals 12. Now that I have one that cancels out, I'm going to add both of these equations. -16x plus 9x is -7x. -6 and +6 cancel out. And -26 and +12 is -14. Now my last step is to divide both sides by -7. And I will get x equals 2. So in my solution, I know x is going to be 2. So now I have to figure out what y is. I'm going to go back to either equation. I can do either. Since I've messed with this one before, I think I'll go to the top one. So I have 9. I always go to my original equation. So I wouldn't go to this -16x, -6y after I've multiplied this. I'd go back to one of these original equations. So 9 times 2 plus 6 times y equals 12. 9 times 2 is 18 plus 6y equals 12. Now I'm going to subtract 18 from both sides. And I get 6y equals -6. My last step will be to divide both sides by 6. And I know y equals -1. Now I often go back and do just a quick mental check on each of these. If x is 2, this would be 16. 8 times 2 is 16. 3 times -1 would be -3. Does 16 minus 3 equal 13? Yes, it does. And I know it works for this equation because that's one I use. Let's try my second example. Again, looking here, nothing clears out very well. So what can I do? Well, 4 doesn't even go to 14 very well. And 6 doesn't go to 21. I'm kind of sitting here scratching my head a little bit. I'm going to have to change both equations. So what can I change? I know both 4 and 14, I can get to 28. I could get 6 and 21, both to 42. Both of these are negatives. Both of these are positive. I think I'll go with 28. I don't know why. I just kind of like that. So I'm going to multiply this whole top equation, let's say by 7. Then I'm going to multiply this whole bottom equation by negative 2 to get it to negative 28. Seven times 4, 28x. Negative 6 times 7, negative 42y. And 5 times 7 is 35. My second equation, like I said, I'm multiplying it by negative 2. Negative 2 times 14x is negative 28x. Could I have done something different? Yeah, there's lots of options I could have done. Negative 2 times negative 21 is positive 42y. And 15 times negative 2 is negative 30. Let's add it up. You may have noticed what's going on here. Oh, goodness, what happened here? You may have noticed what's going on here. 28x, negative 28x. That cancels out. Negative 42, positive 42y. That cancels out. I'm left with nothing on the left side. On the right side, I have 35 minus 30. That is 5. Well, my variables canceled out. I'm left with an untrue equation. If it's untrue, my answer is no solution. So if I simplified these would be parallel lines. Let's look at this one. What can I cancel out here? Well, I have 6x, I have negative 9y. I know both of them can go to 18. So how about I multiply this top equation by 3? And my bottom equation by 2. Three times 6x is 18x. 3 times 4y is 12y. 3 times 16 is 48. I have here 2 times negative 9x, negative 18x. 2 times negative 6y, negative 12y. And negative 24 times 2 is negative 48. Eighteen x, negative 18x, that cancels out. 12y, negative 12y, that cancels out. I'm left with 0 on this side. 48, negative 48, that is also 0. I'm left with a true equation. 0 does equal 0. So this is going to be infinite solutions. These are going to be the same line. You might have noticed I could simplify this. If I would have divided this whole equation by 2, I would have had 3x plus 2y equals 8. If I would have divided this whole equation by negative 3, I would have had 3x plus 2y, because negative 6 divided by negative 3 is positive 2, equals, divided by negative 3, positive 8. They're the exact same thing. They're the same line. Infinite solutions. Okay, let's look at this. I have 3x minus 4y equals negative 27. 2x plus y equals negative 7. This is highlighted. I'm not sure why. Let's see if we can figure it out. What can I cancel? Well, one thing I like to look for is, do I have a positive and a negative? And I do. I have a negative 4y and a positive y. So I'm going to multiply this whole equation by 4. That will leave me with 8x plus 4y equals negative 28. When I add these two equations together, 3x plus 8x is 11x. Negative 4y and 4y, 0. Negative 27, negative 28 is negative 55. Let's divide both sides by 11. And I get x is equal to negative 5. I'm wondering if the reason that's highlighted is we might have left that number blank in your notes packet so you could fill it in. Okay, now if I substitute back into either of these equations, I'm going to go with the second one because it looks pretty straightforward. 2 times x is negative 5, plus y equals negative 7. Well, 2 times negative 5 is negative 10, plus y equals negative 7. In my last step, I just need to add 10 to both sides. And my y is 3. So I have negative 5, positive 3. Let's check to make sure it works on the second equation, since it worked on this one. 3 times negative 5, negative 15. Minus 4 times 3 is 12. Negative 15 minus negative 12 is, in fact, negative 27. So it works for both. So I know my answer is right. Okay, let's look at this one. I have 9x plus 18y equals 48. Well, nothing's going to clear out very nicely. Could I simplify one? Yeah, I could have simplified this. I'm just going to multiply this by 2 and this by negative 9. It's just always nice to have a nice way in your back pocket for always clearing note. Could you do it another way? Absolutely. But so if I multiply this one by negative 9, multiply this one by positive 2, my x's will cancel out. So I get 18x plus 36y. Sometimes it's nice to simplify them because then you get to work with smaller numbers, but if you start manipulating the equations too much, first dividing them all by something and then multiplying them by something else, it just seems like you might make more mistakes. Negative 9 times 2x is negative 18x. Negative 9 times 4y is negative 36y. And negative 9 times 12 is negative 108. And again, I can see I have a positive 18x and a negative 18x. So this cancels out. 36y, negative 36y, that cancels out. I'm left with 0 on the left side. And on the right side, I have 96 and negative 108. This would be negative 12. So you'll notice 0 does not equal negative 12. This has no solutions. Again, these would be parallel lines. If I rewrote them in slope-intercept form, you'd see they have the same slope. Number 6. Let's see what would cancel out easily here. I could cancel out my x's by multiplying my top by negative 3. I could cancel out my bottom by multiplying this by negative 2. And multiply the top by negative 3. Negative 3 times 2x, negative 6x. Negative 3 times 4y, negative 12y. Negative 3 times 11 is negative 33. Add up my equations. My 6x and negative 6x cancel out. 2y and negative 12y leaves me with negative 10y. 3 and negative 33 combined equal negative 30. Last step, I'm going to divide everything by negative 10. And I get y equals positive 30. 3, not 30, 3. Negative 30 divided by negative 10 is a positive 3. So in my solution, my y is going to be 3. Let's check out my x. I can go to either equation. I have 6x plus 2 times y, and my y is 3, equals 3. Well, 2 times 3 is 6, so 6x plus 6 equals 3. Subtract 6 from both sides. And I get 6x equals negative 3. Let's divide both sides by 6. And x will equal negative 1/2. Negative 3 over 6 is negative 1/2. So the answer to this system is negative 1/2, 3. Let's check it on the other equation. Negative 1/2 times 2 is negative 1. 4 times 3 is 12. Negative 1 plus 12 does in fact equal 11. So my system worked for both equations. My solution did. Okay, let's take a look at this one. I have 5x minus 15y equals 25. 2x minus 6y equals 10. I don't have one where one's positive, one's negative. I can make my first equation into tens, so I'm going to multiply my top equation by 2 and my bottom one by negative 5. That way my x's will cancel out with a 10x and a negative 10x. 2 times 5x, 10x. 2 times negative 15y, negative 30y. And 25 times 2 is 50. The bottom equation, negative 5 times 2x is negative 10x. Negative 5 times 6y is negative 6y is positive 30y. And I can see those are going to cancel out. 10 times negative 5 is negative 50. So now when I add these two equations, 10x and negative 10x is 0. Negative 30y and positive 30y is 0. And 50 and negative 50 is also 0. So I end up with 0 equals 0, which is a true statement, which means my solution is infinite. These are the same equation. Okay, example number 8, I'm going to solve using elimination again. I have 33y minus 11, 33x minus 11y equals negative 40. 6x plus 2y equals negative 10. I have a negative and a positive here and here. I kind of feel like multiplying my top equation by 2 and my bottom equation by 11 will give me easier numbers to work with. 2 times 33x is 66x. 2 times negative 11y is negative 22y. And negative 40 times 2 is negative 80. On the bottom, I have 11 times negative 6x is negative 66x. 11 times positive 2y is positive 22y. And negative 10 times 11 is negative 110. When I add these two equations together, this cancels out. This also cancels out. I'm left with 0 on the left side, and 80 and negative 100. Oh, negative 80 and negative 110 is negative 190. So I'm left with 0 equals negative 190. We know that's not true. Therefore, there is no solution to this system. These would be parallel lines. That's it. Remember, for your summary, if the variable cancels out and you're left with a not true statement, the answer is going to be no solution. Whereas if the variables cancel out and you're left with the true statement, which is 0 equals 0, the answer will be infinite solutions. That's it. Have a great day.